Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we'll be learning how to make this gorgeous dress you can see on your screen. The amount of requests I've gotten on this particular tutorial is just a lot. So if you're interested in sewing tutorials like this, make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you haven't, turn on your post notifications so you always get notified whenever I post a new tutorial. Share this to family and friends who you know will be interested in this, and also like this video so this tutorial will get to people who also love tutorials like this. If you have questions, leave it there in the comment section and I'll be attending to it. Now let's dive right into this. This is the fabric I'll be using for this tutorial. This is a pokal dot fabric, and what I have here is just 2 yards. This is just a fabric I have at home, but I'll advise you, if you want to make a dress like this, I think you should use like 3 yards or so because of the gathers on this dress to give you a fuller effect. Now let's go ahead to fold the fabric. We'll be starting with the upper part of the dress. So just fold your fabric like this. Now we're going to make sure that what we have here is going to be enough to contain the upper part of our body. And to do that, you have to divide your waist measurement by 4. Mine is 8 inches, and you'll be adding extra 2 inches to whatever you get. The reason is because if you notice from this dress, it extends to the back. So because of that extension, we'll be adding extra 2 inches and then extra 1 inch for seam allowance. So what I have should be 11 inches. Also, you need to make sure that what you have here will cover your bust properly. Also, we are going to take down our shoulder to our waistline measurement, but before we do that, this dress has a channel at the top through which you pass your rope. For this reason, we are going to come down from the top of the fabric by 1.5 inch and connect these together. Now this line here is where we'll be taking our measurement from. So mark your shoulder to your waistline measurement. My shoulder to waistline is 16.5. I'm going to add extra ½ inch for stitching allowance, and I'm going to mark this as 17 inches. Now proceed to cut this out just like I'm doing here. This is just me trying to check my measurements again. So dividing my waist measurement by 4 plus 2 inches and extra 1 inch for hemming allowance, what I have is 11 inches. So I'm just going to cut off the excess I have left. Like I said earlier, before you do this, okay, make sure that you divide your bust measurement by 4 and add extra 1 or 1.5 inch for hemming allowance, and be sure that what you have here is going to be enough for you. Then at this point here, go in by 2 inches. Also from this point, you're going to just check where your bust is. So my bust is around 11 inches, and on this point here, I'm just going to check to be sure that this is going to cover my bust properly. And what I need is 11 inches, so I'm just going to mark it here. Now I'm going to connect all these points together like this. Then I'm going to cut it out following these lines. And that is it, guys, for the upper part. Very easy, and I hope you guys are following along. So this right here, after putting the rope, is going to gather to fit like this. So now we are going to keep the upper part aside, and we are going to proceed to cut the lower part of the dress. For the lower part of this dress, I'm just going to sketch what this dress looks like, so I'll explain what we are doing next. Now this is an example of what this dress looks like. This is the upper part, then we have the first and then we have the second layer. So you having layers on your dress is totally optional. You could do just the normal one if you want to, but we are following what we are recreating, which is a tier dress. So what you are going to do is, you have 2 layers. So for the first layer, you can multiply your waist measurement by 2 or 2.5 depending on how full you want your gathers to be. And then the second layer, you can multiply what you have at the bottom of the first layer by 2 inches or more depending on how full you want it to be. Okay, so now we are going to cut out the first layer here, and because I'm managing my fabric, I'm just going to take the measurement of what I have left after I cut out the upper part. And what I have here is about 53 inches. So I'm going to measure from the top here to this point, okay, and I have about 26 inches. I'm just going to divide that by 2 because I'll be cutting from the front and the back. Now the first layer for the front, I'm going to be marking this at 13 inches. I'll be marking this across and I'll connect with a straight line. I'm just going to cut it out following the line I just marked. So this is going to be the first layer for the front part, and I'm going to label it F. I'll be keeping this aside and we'll be cutting the first layer for the back. Now, to cut out the first layer for the back, I need you to bear in mind that the back has an elastic. So we'll be creating a channel for the elastic, which of course we need about 1 inch. So whatever you cut out for the front, make sure you add 1 inch to create channel for your elastic, and that is what you're going to mark here. Connect it with a straight line and cut it out. So this is going to be for the back. Okay, I'll be cutting out the rope which we'll be using for this dress, and for the rope I'll be using 1.5 inch. I'm going to connect it together with a straight line and cut this out. So what I have left here, I will be using that to cut the second layer for both the front and the back. Okay, so what I have here is 2 yards, which is about 72 inches. The second layer should always be longer than the first layer. Okay, so I'm going to mark, you guys, the light went off, but we're going to continue this tutorial. The difference is so clear. So this is just me cutting out the second layer, and yeah, we need two, one for the front and one for the back. To sew this, we are going to start with the upper part of the dress. Okay, and the first thing you have to do here is to hem the sides of the dress. So you're going to fold it in by 1/2 inch, further fold it in by 1/2 inch again. You're going to hem the both sides, and after hemming the both sides, you're going to create your channel at the top here for your rope. Okay, now this is the rope here. To create the rope is quite easy. You are just going to fold it in from this side here and fold it from this other side to meet at the midpoint. Then you're going to fold it in like this, and you're going to stitch it down all the way down. So after doing that, you can see how beautiful this came out. Using your safety pin, you're going to be inserting this rope through the channel that you created. So this is just me inserting the rope through the channel that I created, and after doing, make sure you arrange it just the way I'm doing here. After doing that, I'm just going to knot the ends of my rope so it doesn't get lost in the channel. Okay, now that we are done with the upper part, let's work on the lower part of the dress. So I'm going to bring in my first layer for both the front and back. This is for the back here. And for the back, we are just going to create channel for our elastic. Okay, you're just going to fold your fabric like this and stitch it down all the way to the end. And for the front, you're going to create a loose stitch at the top here. Now this loose stitch, you're going to gather it later on. All right, so this is it here. I'm done creating the channel for the elastic, and this is it for the front. I'm done creating the loose stitch. Now for the elastic, to know the length of elastic that you need, what you need to do is to divide your waist measurement by 2, and whatever you get, you're going to take out 2 inches from that. This is because you need this to be firm at the back of your waist. So taking out 2 inches from my actual waist measurement, I'm going to cut this at 12.5. And using my safety pin, I'm going to insert this through the channel that I created. Please be careful so that your elastic doesn't get lost in the channel. So I'm going to pin this here. So I just did that off camera, and I also pin it down here so the elastic stays in place. You just go to your machine and tack it at the both ends so it stays put. Okay, now for this upper part here, we are going to gather this to half of our waist measurement plus 2 inches. So after gathering this, what I have here, you can see that it is 16 inches. Half of my waist measurement is 14 inches. Now that extra 2 inches is going to be for stitching allowance on both sides. That is 1 inch on both sides. Before we attach this to the upper part of the dress, we are going to attach the second layer to each of them. So this is what we'll be using for the second layer, right? All we need to do here is to run a loose stitch at the top of each of this. So what we'll do here is to gather this to fit what we have at the lower part of the first layer. So take the measurement of what you have at the lower part of your first layer and gather this to it. So I'll just be taking the measurement of what I have around my first layer, and you can see here that I have 53 inches. I'll also take the measurement of what I have here, what I gathered here, and I also have 53 inches. So I'll just place them right sides facing each other like this, and you're going to stitch it down using 1/2 inch stitching allowance. Make sure you do this for both the front and the back. So after doing that, you can see exactly what this looks like. You will also notice that my gathers here is not so much, and this is because I use just 2 yards. So if you want more gather effect, 3 or more is what you should go for. All right, now we are going to place the front and the back right sides facing each other, and I'm going to pin it down at the sides just like this. What we'll be doing here simply is just to stitch it down at the sides using 1 inch stitching allowance. After stitching it down, this is what you should have. Now we are going to attach the upper part of the dress and the lower part of the dress together. I'm just going to notch the upper part of the dress and also notch the lower part of the dress, just the front here. Now you're going to place them right sides facing each other, making sure that the midpoints are together. I'm just going to go ahead and pin this down like this. What you do here is to stitch this down using 1/2 inch stitching allowance. And after doing that, this is what we have. You can see how beautiful this came out. Now the last thing we are going to do here is to hem the bottom part of our dress, but before we do that, this was actually longer than what my client wanted, so I'm just going to trim the lower part of the dress to the actual length that she wants. So the length you're using totally depends on you. It totally depends on what you're comfortable wearing. So this is just me trimming the lower part of the dress. So after I'm done trimming it, I'm just going to hem the lower part of the dress. And voila, you can see how beautiful this turned out. You can see how this came out. You can see what it looks like from the back, and you can see how this is extending into the back just exactly as we wanted it to be. And this is what the front looks like. I hope this tutorial was helpful. I hope you enjoyed every bit of this tutorial. Please let me know in the comment section, and also leave your questions in the comment section. Make sure you like, share this to family and friends who you think will be interested, and stay tuned for my next tutorial.